James Gunn's Superman Legacy, which is now just a little over a year away from its official theatrical release, is the very first project to be set within the brand new DC live-action cinematic universe called the DCU. Unfortunately, this movie comes out at a time when comic book movies, more specifically live-action DC movies, are going through quite a rough patch with regards to their box office performances and public reviews. Somehow after Avengers Endgame, superhero movies are starting to feel like some kind of a side mission in a video game which we encounter after we finish the main campaign. Of course, the reason behind the downfall of comic book movies is definitely much more than just superhero fatigue in general. I think, more than superhero fatigue, people are suffering from a syndrome which can be called mediocrity fatigue because, truth be told, after the release of Zack Snyder's Justice League in 2021, leaving aside a few very good ones, most comic book movies tend to have a very mediocre storyline and almost seem to lack a sense of seriousness in them. As a matter of fact, movies like Spider-Man No Way Home, the animated Snyderverse movies, Joker, The Batman, and The Boys mini-series have turned out to be quite successful commercially as well as critically, despite all the ongoing discussion and talk about superhero fatigue and stuff like that. It goes to show that people still have not given up entirely on comic book movies. As long as these movies can give us a good compelling story with some unique elements, people are definitely going to watch them. Coming back to Superman once again, unlike Man of Steel, which came out at a time when DC was at its peak and fresh off the critically acclaimed Dark Knight trilogy, Superman Legacy comes at a time when DC and superhero movies in general are going through its worst phase. So, James Gunn and the entire team of Superman Legacy needs to overcome all the odds to ensure even a decent performance. However, I believe that despite all the odds, Superman Legacy will turn out to be one of the best live-action comic book movies and will not just resurrect the DC franchise, but it will in fact restore the lost glory of the entire comic book genre. Before we dwell and analyze further on this million-dollar subject, I would like to request you to spend just 1 second of your time to hit the subscribe button and leave a like on this video, because that is the only thing which motivates me to create more and more such awesome contents. Now, coming back to the topic again, I can assure you one thing, that Superman Legacy will be very different from the previous version of Superman, which is Zack Snyder's Superman, played by the very talented Henry Cavill. Zack Snyder created his very own version of Superman, which was dark and depressing and totally opposite to the character from the comics. James Gunn, on the other hand, has stated multiple times that he wants to bring back the classic version of the Man of Steel from the comics. He also expressed that he wants his version to be so colorful and bright that fans would feel a positive energy flowing through them simply by looking at David Corenswet's Superman flying across the bright skies of Metropolis. This version of Superman will take the character back to his comic book roots, which is basically considered as the granddaddy and founding father of all modern-age superheroes. And from James Gunn's recent Instagram posts and his comments on several talk shows and interviews, we can easily make out that the man is extremely passionate about finally giving us the most accurate portrayal of the Man of Steel on the silver screen. And to be very honest, I have complete faith in literally anything written and directed by James Gunn. He literally has a perfect track record with not a single mediocre project under his belt. If he can turn C-list comic book characters like Rocket, Groot, and Peacemaker into beloved household names, just imagine what he could do with the best and most popular superhero ever created. Speaking from a purely personal standpoint, I was never really into the MCU until Guardians of the Galaxy came out in 2014. It genuinely impacted me the same way Christopher Nolan's Batman and Sam Raimi's Spider-Man managed to do. The thing I like about James Gunn is that he has a very amazing skill to take a character who feels hopeless and turn them into a beacon of hope. I mean, if we look past all the humor and silliness of Guardians, we actually get a very heartfelt, vulnerable story which actually inspire us to rise above our pain and do the right thing. James Gunn definitely has a clear heart who has an incredible amount of passion and love for every movie he makes. So with Superman Legacy, Warner Brothers has let a man who pours his soul into everything he does direct and write the superhero who is basically known for his soul and heart. As you can see, we literally have got the perfect recipe for one of the best comic book movies ever made. And it goes without saying that Superman Legacy will have to be the absolute best work of James Gunn's life to overcome all the odds and toxicity that this movie is going to face when it finally comes out next year. In other words, Superman Legacy needs to be a perfect home run in order to give a decent chance for DC and the superhero genre in general to reclaim its lost glory again. And I am 100% certain that James Gunn is well aware of that, which is why he will bring out his absolute best in the making of this movie. But having said that, I would like to tell you that the chances of this movie being a commercial success at the box office is actually still very less because the DC franchise is at an all-time low following the disasters of The Flash, Blue Beetle, and Aquaman 2. I feel like the initial phase of the universe will struggle heavily at the box office no matter how good the movies turn out to be. But I believe Superman Legacy will be the movie which is going to change the trajectory of comic book movies and will act as the foundation for the resurrection of the genre over the next few years. So far as the DCU is concerned, it is going to need way more than just one good movie or one good TV show to restore even a section of its lost faith among its audiences. The franchise needs to produce a series of counterpunches to get back to the top of the table. But to be honest, there is no way James Gunn can pull this off all by himself. The new management at Warner Brothers will have to support him even if he fails to make enough money off some of his initial projects. They need to trust James Gunn and give him full creative control over his vision at least for the first phase of the DCU. Eventually, as the DCU start producing good movies consistently and the franchise start to emerge as a strong cohesive live-action interconnected cinematic universe, people eventually will start noticing at some point. So, in conclusion, I would just say that Superman Legacy is probably the most important movie that DC or James Gunn has ever tried to put out because if this doesn't work, the entire new universe is dead before it even starts. But if this somehow turns out to be a masterpiece, I believe it is going to be a turning point not just for DC but for the entire comic book movie genre as a whole. That is all I have to say in this video. What do you think will be Superman Legacy's performance at the box office? Will it be extremely successful or moderately successful, or will it turn out to be another disaster for DC? Let me know in the comments down below. And please do not forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.